Thank you for tuning in to this Waxcast of Between Both Cheeks. Please welcome your hosts, Luba, Holly, and Becca.
The boss lady, the egg, and Holly the hair lifter.
Bush in Kazakhstan will laugh when they hear the name because a bush means the hair around the testis section.
Alright, so welcome to the Waxcast. Tonight we're going to be talking about the beginning.
The beginning.
So Luba, what we want to know, why did you decide to start wax?
So I came from the beauty industry and I loved everything about it. I was a counter girl, so that's kind of where I started at the beginning. Making minimum wage, which I think was like $5.25 an hour back then. Yeah, the egg is like, what? Becca's like,
Yeah.
how much was that?
My minimum wage is like $13 an hour.
Yeah,
so.
mine was like $5.25, I think. And I worked at Counter with this awesome company, and I actually started at cashier. And I wanted to be in they called you a cosmetologist. And I wanted to be in that department, so I worked and got to be there, and then really enjoyed the business side of it. But I didn't go to school, right? I didn't go to college, I didn't do university, I did grade 12. That was hard enough. And this company was able to put you through all this training and development that they would pay for, which was incredible. So it allowed me to move up the corporate ladder quite quickly at a really, really young age, which was awesome. So I still got to do the stuff that I loved with cosmetics, but I got to do the business element of it as well. So moving on, I ran the highest volume cosmetics department in Western Canada or all of Canada. I think it was all of Canada. My staff hated me there because we were the first cosmetics department that I was open 24 hours because I saw an opportunity that a lot of the, what shall we call them?
Ladies of the night.
Yes, thank you. The ladies of the night would kind of prowl the streets in that area, and I was like, wow, you got money in your pocket, cash, and I have a $25 lipstick to sell you. So we're going to open it up 24 hours. So I went from there, and then I went to become a regional manager, and that was kind of crazy because I was so young interviewing for that role. And when I finally got it, and they put me through the ringer, which was absolutely brutal, but whatever. I was so young that my first trip that I had to travel for, I rented a car and they wouldn't rent it to me when I picked it up.
How old were you?
I think I was 23.
Wow.
Because it's 25 to rent a car, right?
Yes,
something like that.
Yeah,
so I was mortified because I already knew that no one really believed in me because I was so young.
Yeah.
And now I have to call my boss and be like, oh, guess what?
I got hired.
I'm going to have to take a taxi everywhere. So that was mortifying. And then from that position, I moved into a national cosmetic manager and I ran all of Canada. And that was incredible. I got to travel everywhere internationally. It was so great. It was everything that I loved to do.
So why would you give all that up?
I thought about it. I was put in a really bad situation. One of the things that I absolutely hate is that I think women don't support women. I think that there's a special place in hell for women that don't support women. And that's what I dealt with. And I dealt with a peer who I was supposed to work very closely with that made my life absolutely hell, causing me to have an absolute breakdown, and they actually found me in the bathroom. Passed out completely. Rushed me to the hospital, and I was mortified. I think my ego was hurt more than anything else. And then people had started rumors that, I don't know, I had an eating disorder, I was doing drugs, or I was there was always an excuse, but it was purely pure stress. And it wasn't until the time that I was doing therapy to find out that I was in a toxic environment, but I thought it was normal.
Yeah.
I thought it was completely normal to drive to work and feel nauseous the entire way, get out of my car, go to the bathroom, puke from nerves, and carry on for the rest of the day, and cry in my office at lunch, or, you know, and then go back and do it again and again and again. And I had this amazing therapist, and she said, you need to leave. And I, like, my entire world blew up, because I put work as number one. Like, I put it before my relationships, I put it before absolutely everything. It was number one for me. So she crushed my world, and she said, nothing is going to change. You've talked to your boss, you've talked to HR, you tried to talk with this person. Nothing is going to change. You need to leave. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do? So something that I didn't tell anyone about for about 7 years, I had a file called Wax. And I just had this idea of a waxing salon for men and women that specialized in men, because that was during do you remember the phrase manscaping, right?
Yeah.
That was very, very new back then.
It still is. Yes. And you should do it. It's important.
Absolutely. And I just had this idea, and I kept like putting ideas in this folder. I don't know what I was doing it for. Like, it was just an idea, and I remember running it past my mom, just very briefly, and it was shut down right away.
Straight away.
Right?
Yeah.
Very old school, like, you make really good money, you have a car allowance, you have a gas allowance, you've got, what are they called? In the US, they call them 401ks, like investments, and like, you've got all this, you've got a great job, you get to travel the world. What are you even thinking about? Like, very old school thinking. Oh, you'll get over whatever's happening. Like, continue being in a toxic relationship and everything will be fine.
Doesn't matter if you hate it.
No. So, so once the therapist told me that, I had about 6 months leave, like sick leave, and I took it out, and I started thinking, okay, let's put the numbers together and let's see if I can actually make this dream work. I'm not an esthetician. I've been getting waxed since I was 18, and the woman that I was seeing, who I'm still in touch with to this day, she dances while she was waxing me. So I was literally like, oh, this is easy. And not that I wanted to be in the room, but I was like, I am going to create such an amazing work environment, because I've been in such an awful situation myself, that I will have a really great team with all these great people. We're all going to work together. We're going to play hard. We're going to work hard, play hard, the whole 9 yards. And I just kind of built it from there, specializing in men. I knew the business side of it, but I had no idea
Aesthetics background.
of the aesthetics background.
So why just waxing?
No one in Canada was doing just waxing. So the US had European Wax Center, super successful franchise. Canada didn't have anything.
Okay.
So I was going into a full-blown spa with like chandeliers, pink wallpaper, and they're doing facials and massage. It took me, I had to book up my waxing appointments 6 months in advance. And I was like, this is ridiculous, right? Like, there needs to be kind of like a drive-through option of people specializing in this. And the other thing too, like, if my girl wasn't there and I saw someone else, I would have a really bad wax.
Yeah.
And I think they categorize you in this, in school as an esthetician, you're going to do, well, here they do nails in Canada, right? They do nails, they do skin.
You're going to be a jack of all trades. You need to be good at everything.
And that's just like, no one's good at everything. So I wanted to have like, and that's why we trademarked Waxperts, because we specialize and we are the Waxperts. That's what that's what we're going to do. Basically, like, kind of everything skin, specializing in wax. So that was kind of it.
Yeah, and for so long, waxing has been the part of the industry that has been overlooked. Whereas for many of these salons or these spas, it is actually the bread and butter of their business. It's something that costs very minimal to set up. It's something that can be done all year round. You don't need a very large treatment room to perform the service. And, you know, brows and Brazilians are always going to need to be waxed, regardless of how the laser industry affects us. Those areas are always going to need to be waxed, and brows are on your face, and your Brazilian is a very intimate area, so the training and the service needs to be specialized for sure.
Well, Holly, you'll know more about it because you've traveled the world with waxing and training. But one of the things that I noticed here was people have the idea, like I did, that waxing is very easy.
Yes.
And anyone can do it, and we're just going to buy, you know, Gigi's wax from the local Sally's distributor. And the importance and the education is not in the school. It's actually, I think, one of the lowest amount of hours that they take in school.
But it's often overlooked as well because the teachers don't particularly specialise in it either. And no one wants to get on the bed and be waxed because who wants to be working on someone who's day one of waxing? Not me. I don't want to be their model. So the practice for sure is there's not enough hours in waxing, and the specialised trainers, it may not be their favourite service to perform either. And I think this is where the breakdown is between graduates coming out of school and actually getting employed at a specialised salon or getting some further education before you let loose on people, basically.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And when I look back at it now too, on like what I did without having the education or any experience on waxing, I took such a huge risk. Like, I mortgaged my condo.
Yeah.
I mortgaged my condo and I built a store. Not knowing anything. I mean, I had an acquaintance slash friend. The woman that was waxing me was literally giving me like all the advice. And I knew what I liked as a client and a customer. Like, I knew what I wanted it to feel like, smell like, look like, as far as the wax being applied and taken off. But I had like zero skill of like, oh, look at the strip after and make sure the bulb of the root is there. I didn't know any of that.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, we started the company with only using soft wax.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was a hard wax.
And actually, you say that like it's foreign, but coming from a training aspect and seeing businesses all around the world, this is still very common and still very accepted. And this is where the breakdown is, because the clients think that this is normal, and they think that it's normal that they need to allow 3 days before they go on their vacation to have their Brazilian waxed because they're going to be red, sore, inflamed, all those sorts of things. So obviously, you know, looking at it from your perspective of your business and how you've done it differently, there's still so many people out there not doing it differently, and the consumer doesn't understand because the majority still does it this way.
So Holly, with your technical experience, can you explain the difference between hard wax and soft wax?
Yeah, so hard wax is the one that gets applied to intimate and small areas, and we peel it off. The soft wax is the one that is used with the strip. Should be only for large areas. However, as we were just saying, soft wax is still predominantly used over the whole body. And I think it's really important to note that with our changing environment, the way that we change our skincare routine now, we change it as often as we change our underwear. We're layering upon layering products on our face, for example, and there's still brow bars around that predominantly rely on soft wax. And I don't understand how people can say that they never have a problem with skin lifting when you're using a harsh product on an area that is exposed to retinols, chemical peels every other week, Botox fillers, all those things. That's going to change our skin. So how can people not adapt their methods and their technology of having both waxes on offer? And this is where the breakdown in the training is that, again, you're getting educators in the school system that may be strong at one and not the other. So they'll just show you how to use soft wax everywhere because that's what they know.
Yeah.
And then you get a job and they're like, can you use soft wax and hard wax? And quite often the answer is no, because they're not trained in both.
I also think too with businesses, it's an additional cost for a business owner to have two types of wax. So a lot of them will only have one, and they'll just say like, oh, hard wax is bad, and that's why we only use soft, when you really need two. And that was kind of the plus. As much as I've had several negatives not being an esthetician and not being able to jump into a room when someone doesn't show up or someone calls out sick, that's definitely been very, very hard on me. But being on the business side and not the service side, I've been able to pick the brains of every esthetician that's come in and say, what do you like? What do you hate? What is, and that's really what's like built wax to what it is. Like, we are so well known in Vancouver. People come from all the way from Richmond, even from Oregon.
We've had people drive from Oregon in the United States to Vancouver, Canada.
It's insane. right?
A 5 or 6 hour drive.
Same thing, like we've got a partnership with Chippendales in Vegas. We do all of their male waxing.
Well, they can't afford any of this skin lifting or this irritation. Like when you're, on stage every night, you can't risk any of that. But that doesn't just say that it needs to be for those type of people in the world. Like, no one should ever have to risk that. Once your skin has been damaged from a skin lift or a bad wax, it can be damaged so badly that the skin never repairs itself the same way. Yes. So quite often I will wax people, new people to me, and notice that the skin goes slightly shiny, not like a full skin lift, but slightly shiny. And I'll look at that area and then I'll start to ask questions. Where do you go and get your waxing done? What sort of wax do they use? Do they use the paper strip over the top? Ask those sorts of questions to understand what has happened to them. And then when I finish the service and they're like, hang on, it's not sore, it's not red, it's not itchy, it's not irritated. Like, why haven't I been coming to you for years? Like, it still feels like we are so many years behind here, particularly in North America, with the waxing industry as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you guys kind of heard my beginning on why I started wax. So Holly, what is your beginning and why did you want to be an esthetician?
Ooh, tough question.
Well, did you want to be an esthetician?
It's really funny because just hearing Luba say this for the first time, that she ran that idea past her mother and she got a really negative response. I actually did as well, but for a very different reason. My mother was a hairdresser. So for many, many years growing up, I was told, you must go to university, you must get a degree, you must get a corporate job, be a lawyer or a doctor.
Yes, I got that too, doctor. She was waiting for me. I'm like, lawyer or doctor. Mom, I didn't even finish. Like, they kicked me out of math 10 and put me in accounting. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't need to do math.
Same thing. I hated school. I hated studying. I went to university for a year to study business because that's what I was passionate about. And I hated it. And I was like, all right, there has to be an easier way. What's an industry that's growing? What's something that I could, do a course, but it's not like a lifetime commitment, 7 years to become a lawyer or whatever it is. So I started Googling and then I thought, aesthetics. Okay, this is interesting. So I took myself to the best school in Melbourne, Australia. Went there, had the interview, then went home and told my mum. She goes, no, absolutely no way. No way. You'll get a bad back. Long hours, long days, not enough money, minimum wage, as we've all discussed before. They pay minimum wage to be an esthetician. Long hours and you'll get a sore back. That was the response I got. So anyway, I defied my parents, as did Luba, and studied and realised very soon that mum was right. Long hours, sore back, don't want to be in the salon. So got minimal salon experience and then looked at other ways to advance my career. Started in a sales position because obviously being fresh out of school didn't really have a training experience. So started a sales position with a waxing manufacturer because I loved waxing. So in school I learnt straight away that waxing was for me. With facials and massage I realised that I wanted to be the person on the table, not the person giving the treatment. Waxing was fun. As you said, your esthetician used to dance around the room. You could put on high energy music, you could dance around, you talk to your clients. It was fun, it was quick in and out, and I realised good money, really good money. Yeah. So that's how I got into waxing, and then I advanced from there to become a trainer for waxing, which again is a funny story because going back to the beauty school that I had started at, they wanted to hear my story about what I was doing. At this time I was travelling around the world delivering Brazilian waxing training. And I remember the principal of the school almost like falling off the chair, like, waxing? And I was like, yeah, like there has to be specialists in every field. Yes. There's all these facial companies, there's the massage specialists, there's everything, the nail technicians, lash technicians, makeup artists, always blogging and vlogging and all those things. And waxing was still so overlooked, and I was like, okay, well, it's sending me around the world. So, people must need to still know this very, very basic skill, which is crazy because, waxing has been done since Egyptian times. It's not new. Exactly. But it's still so profitable. Yeah, crazy. So, here I am.
That was it.
Here you are. So how did you join wax?
Wow.
How did you go from training
my God.
Brazilians
Yeah.
She waxed my vagina and I hired
to
her.
waxing Luba Sazowski?
Exactly. So funny enough, from being told don't be an esthetician, I was sent to Las Vegas for an expo, the biggest beauty expo in the world, and was actually taking a training class there on Brazilian waxes. And Luba had got in contact with the company I was working at the time because she was trying to perfect her wax, which, was great to hear that after my experience in North America of seeing the bad waxes on the market and the bad jobs that were being done, that she had tracked down a quality wax. So she had said, let's meet. And we happened to be in town that weekend and obviously didn't know anyone in town, had very limited resources, but ended up having a massage table getting sent to our hotel room so that we could hold some training and some demos. And Luba can relate to the old hotel room waxing as well. We've got some other stories on that. And she came up and she saw the wax and we said, get on the table and we'll show you what it's all about. So,
In a hotel room.
Yeah.
And then the next night I sent her to Chippendales alone.
Yes, actually. Then she said, what are you doing next night in town? I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm just hanging out by myself. Like, I fly out the next day, but I've got, tomorrow night to myself. And she said, do you want to go to the Chippendales? And I was like, well, I didn't even really know what it was at the time. I sort of knew it was a male strip show. But I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess a free show in Vegas is a free show in Vegas, right? So I said yes and got sat on the end seat, which I didn't know at the time was a dangerous seat because that normally means that you're going to get pulled up on stage. And that was really funny when I was there by myself and got pulled up on stage, which was great, and no one has any footage of because I was there by myself. And then the security guard pulled me off and said, did you have fun? I was like, oh, yeah. And he's like, who are you here with? And I was like, myself. And he's like, oh, okay, have a good night.
You're
Sent me on my way.
in the perv and gyno row.
Yeah, I was basically like the little dirty perv in the corner. But, it was a free show. I had a wild time. And now, how funny, how many years ago was that? 5 years ago?
Yeah,
maybe more. Now I get to wax some of those boys on a regular basis.
Yes.
So I've come full circle.
That's crazy. So I think the egg, we call Becca the egg because she's the youngest.
Yes, hello, I'm the egg.
The egg. I think you have kind of the craziest story because you weren't in the beauty industry.
No.
You had no desire to be in the beauty industry. And you applied to a waxpert position.
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
So, I compare myself more to balls because I'm pretty ballsy rather than eggs. So much more masculine than feminine. But I started serving, like most other people getting through college. I was a server and I studied college in a theater background, doing technical theater and film production. So like lighting, costumes, painting, all of that artsy creative stuff. And I liked beauty, I liked doing makeup, and like most other 12, 13-year-old girls, I watched a lot of YouTube videos and
Eye roll, insert eye roll.
Yes.
Do you have a thing on that thing for something?
Yeah.
Is there an eye roll thing?
An eye roll?
An eye roll,
Like,
the sound of an eye roll.
Wah, wah, wah. No.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, good. I'll take that.
Yeah, so I watched lots of YouTube videos on beauty. So I enjoyed it, but no more than most other, females. Mm-hmm. And I was finishing college, and for a portion of college, I was living with roommates. And as I was graduating, I decided after I graduated, I wanted to travel and I wanted to go away to Peru and I wanted to do Machu Picchu. And to do that costs a lot of money. So I was like, okay, all right, I got to move back in with mom and I'll work in film and I'll make a lot of money and I'll only have to do it for 2 or 3 months and then I can disappear for a year and it'll be great. Well, that's not how it happens, and life threw me a curveball. So the week that I graduated college, I graduated and I was moving out all in the same week. My last day of moving out, I crashed my car and I hurt my leg really badly and I was unable to walk for 2 months. And when I was able to walk again, I needed a job and I couldn't go into film or theater or serving because those are all very
Standing on your feet.
Yes, you have to stand on your feet, you have to carry things, you have to go up ladders. So I was just looking on Craigslist and Indeed and all these other job boards, and I'm guilty. I applied to every single job that I was minimally qualified for, like, at all. But I wrote cover letters to every single job, so it didn't seem like I was applying to every single job. And I saw this job posting for a waxpert. You needed 2 years waxing experience, you needed to have gone to school or have an aesthetics license, and all these other requirements. I was like, well, I've got none of those things.
I'm going to apply.
Yes, I'm going to apply.
Charge the business owner $1.25 for that click to apply.
Yes, and I made it worth it, though.
Yeah, you did.
I looked on the website and I read a bit about the company, and I was like, oh yeah, this would be cool. Like, I can do that, whatever. And so I applied. I wrote a cover letter to Luba and basically pleaded my case. I said, I know you asked for this, this, and this, and I have none of those things, but these are all the other things I do have. And please hire me. I make $0 right now. Anything would be better.
It was crazy. Like
It was a long letter.
It was. I'll never forget it, because remember I called you, and I was just like, okay, first of all, I need to like FaceTime this girl, because I gotta see if she's crazy.
Well,
I gotta see if she's crazy.
Yes.
And I was just so impressed with your cover letter and your personality and your attitude that I was like, I don't really have like a role for you right now, but I gotta have you. Like, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
So so that's like a really big part of like, people will apply for stuff, and now you see it because you do the interviews.
Now I do the interviews, so I just look for myself, or better.
There you go, right? Like, someone called today and they wanted to apply, and they're like, what are you hiring for?
Yes, so someone called, it was yesterday, but they called and they said they're in the area, they can stop by right now for an interview. And I said, well, wait, have I gotten your resume? What's your name? Like, you can't just drop by. I don't have time for you. I haven't printed out my questions. I don't have a space to talk to you. You don't just do this. Like, we're not McDonald's. You can't just walk in and say, hey, do you have a job? Unless you're really, really, really good. But then you wouldn't be calling me. You would just show up. So this lady called and said, have you sent in your resume? No. She's like, but I'm in the area. I'll stop by right now. I go, well, no, you go online and you apply, and I have a survey, and you have to answer the survey before I even decide if I'm going to call you to bring you in. And she goes, okay, and you do waxing. What else do you do? And I just said, well, you should look on the website for jobs you're applying for before you apply to them. And you have a look on there, because that will tell you exactly what we do and how long it takes and how much it costs, and tells you all about the owner. And if you're really eager, you go on her LinkedIn and you stalk that too, and then you apply. And I said this to her because no one else says those things, so you need to say that because it will help her for her next job, because you do need to take 2 minutes to brief yourself on where you're applying to, because that job should work for you as much as you work for it. And also you'll impress whoever's desk you land on. Yeah. If you just copy and paste their values or their mission statement back to them.
Exactly. It's interesting that we speak about this at the given time, because today I actually gave someone some advice in one of the aesthetic groups on Facebook, and she said that, you know, everyone that's hiring, no one will give her a chance. And my advice back to her was, don't apply for the jobs that are hiring. Apply for the company that you want to work for. Yeah. Because the companies that you want to work for, if you can prove that to them, you know, and it's an example right here that they will create a position for you, because good help is hard to find.
Well, and that was like when you called me, Holly, we hadn't talked in a couple of years.
Yeah.
At all. And I think you sent me an email and you're like, I'm moving to Canada. Yeah. Do you have like a position? And I remember being like, no, but I feel like you've come into my life for a reason, and I need to create something. So the both of you, like, there wasn't anything really open for your roles, and here we are now on the Waxcast.
And now we're on the Waxcast.
Yes. So that's the beginning.
That's the beginning. For 1, 2, and 3. The boss lady, the egg, and Holly the hair ripper.
Tune in next week. Are we doing this weekly?
Yep.
Tune in next week for episode number 2.